Constance vigilance. When you were in the Sea Org, were you ever asked to disconnect from someone dear to you? How did you feel about that? In general, how did you feel about the disconnection policy? When I was in the Sea Org and in Scientology, I did have to do a disconnection a couple times, but not from anybody that I would say was dear to me, at least not that I recall. Certainly no family members or anything, although it was on the line a few times that I might have to disconnect from my mother. I resisted that heavily and talked my way out of it a couple times. And in my interview with my mom, I actually talk about that on this channel, so you can check that out if you're curious about it, and how we actually avoided that. I was lucky in that I dodged that bullet, right? Other people who were more fanatical or extremist in Scientology would have just done the church's bidding. I resisted it. But I wanted to answer this question because I wanted to highlight something else entirely different from just my own experience with this, and that is the general attitude that Scientologists have about disconnection is that they don't get what really is going on with disconnection in Scientology. And the reason why they don't get it is because they don't realize how many people have been declared suppressive. At least not, as of when I walked out the doors, it was not really generally understood that there were lots and lots and lots of people who were getting the goldenrod papers saying, suppressive person declare, right? And the reason why Scientologists weren't aware of the reams of declares that were being issued is because the declare orders were not being posted. In the old days, 70s, 80s, when declares were all the thing, when somebody was declared a suppressive person, that order, that written issue, was posted on a bulletin board in churches all over the world. And people would know, oh, Joe Schmo has now been declared. And it would list all the reasons why he was declared in some detail. So you would read it and you go, wow, this guy is a real screw up, or he's a real bad guy. This is bad hombre, as Trump would say. And I'm not saying that it was true. I mean, that most of these declare orders were probably a bunch of vicious lies and nonsense. But us reading it, we're thinking it was true because this was our church telling us this. And so we'd read it and go, wow, this guy really screwed up. This is a really bad guy. And it's sure a good thing that the church found this out about him and got him out, because I wouldn't want to be around this guy. I wouldn't want to trust this guy. He cheated on his business relations. He cheated on his wife. I mean, whatever it was that he did, and it wasn't just cheating on his wife. I mean, it would be a whole litany of things. Would create this picture that this guy was a bad guy. And most of the time, because these things were posted all over the place, most people don't know who this guy is. People in his direct vicinity might know. They might be upset, but generally, you're reading a declare order from some guy out in, Tucson or Houston or, Twin Cities or something, and you're in LA. Well, you don't know who these people are. Maybe you've heard their name, maybe, but that's about it, right? In general terms. So, and there weren't lots and lots of these things, right? There was one declare order, maybe, every few weeks, every couple months. I mean, it wasn't like there was a ton of these things. And over the years, it did get a little noticeable that they were increasing in number. I will say that. When I was in the Sea Org in the 2000s, it started to become like, wow, there's a lot of declares. Then suddenly, we weren't seeing them a whole lot anymore, right? Or we were only seeing one or two. And you knew there were more, but you weren't seeing them posted. And it was when I was out on a project and I came back, when it really hit home to me that they were hiding these things, is when I got back from a project and I had seen Dan Kuhn, who was a very senior executive in the Sea organization, had left the church, was now doing independent Scientology. I saw this on a website when I was doing recovery work where I was trying to find people and I was searching Scientology stuff, not the Xenu stuff. I was looking for Scientologists and looking to recover people. and Dan Kuhn's name came up, and I knew him. And I was like, what? I did not know he was declared. I did not know he was out of the Sea Org. I did not know he was practicing Scientology outside the church. I was shocked. So I go back to LA when the project was over, and I go, hey, what's up with Dan Kuhn? And they go, well, gee, how'd you find out about that? And I'm like, well, I saw it on this website, and I was looking for this guy, and his name came up. And they go, oh, well, and then they take me into a room, and they've got it in a folder, and this OSA person brings out the folder, gives me the declare, has me read it right then and there, and then takes it back, puts it back in the folder, and that was all the access I had to that declare order. It was never posted, it was never broadly issued, nobody else really knew about this, and I was like, starting to, go, wait a second, right? I'd already have been having lots of other doubts. And I started thinking, how many more of these are there that I don't know about? We haven't seen any of this stuff. And that was when I realized that the situation with declares and with how many people were being declared was probably much worse than anybody realized. And when you don't see something, out of sight, out of mind, right? You don't tend to think about it a whole lot. It's not like we're all sitting there panting to read a bunch of declare orders. So we weren't seeing them, so we weren't thinking about them too much, so it doesn't really even enter your mind. So that's kind of that situation with why when you do see a declare order as a Scientologist, you think, bad dude, right? And you're able mentally to sort of build a wall there pretty easily. Unless, of course, you're a family member or were a very close friend. But with those people, the ethics guys will take them individually and try to do a whole song and dance with them and make sure that they're under control and that they understand what a bad dude this guy was or woman was, and that they handle them so that they build their own wall there. And that's a more, they'll take some more care with the people who did know that person to make sure they're still towing the line and with the program. So anyway, I hope that gives a little bit more data on how that is dealt with and handled, in addition to just my own personal experience with it, and why you'll see Scientologists defend the practice of disconnection and defend, us bad suppressive people of being declared suppressive is because they really think, because of the way the indoctrination is done, that we deserve it. And of course, you know more about my story than any Scientologist walking around, because they won't look at what I actually have to say because I'm declared. So my statements and my views on the subject don't matter. It's only what the church says that matters. So there you go.